like to just add some more movement in the foreground here on top of the basketball player. So I'm just going to first of all group the cloud layer, as we're going to be adding more layers to the clouds. Let's just call that group clouds. I'm going to add a new layer. We'll call that cloud for 1. And what I'd like to do is move that across. Is make sure the brush tool selected. Let's make sure we have a bright color that's slightly off white. Go to our brush panel. Make sure we have a default brush with the default airbrush style selected, and let's just paint there and there. Close this down and make sure that we have an airbrush painted in the foreground there. Now what I'd like to do is press Command or Control T to change the scale of the image or layer, and I'd just like to bring it down slightly to about there. Let's go back to our layers panel, and what I'd like to do is create a mask. Make sure it's on black so we can mask out some of the cloud to make it look more realistic. Let's choose B for brush, make sure opacity is around 70%. Let's just paint out some of the area here to make it look more realistic. And here again, let's just paint out some of this, just to create some more depth in the image. So we can see here now some clouds just on top of the player, which is looking good. Now what we need to do is take this into Coral Painter and manipulate the foreground clouds at the bottom of the image. So what I'd like to do is save this, and let's save it as 07. And what I'd like to do is take it into Coral Painter. Let's open up the PSD in Coral Painter. Now Painter does actually handle PSDs rather well, so all of our masks and the effects that I've added so far will be absolutely fine in Painter. As you can see, our layers are here laid out, the masks are still intact, and there we have our group layers. So what we need to do is choose Cloud 2. Again, I've made sure that we have the same layout as Photoshop with the layers panel on the right, but however it's based around brushes, so I've put the brushes here at the bottom so they're easily accessible. There are 2 brushes that we can use in Coral Painter to manipulate the clouds using the effect that I would desire. Okay, so the first tool that we can use is called the Distorto brush. Now if we choose the Distorto brush and let's just have a play with it, as you can see, when you drag and pull, it immediately creates a really nice effect with the clouds, as if the player's pulling the cloud as he goes through. So it's a really nice effect, and we can add that to the right hand side as well here. And again, it's all about trial and error, so feel free to play with the tool and the brush size and really, go back and forth to get it exactly how you see fit. Again, that's coming out a bit too fast, so I've just brought it back in. That's looking good. So I think we're good to go on the distorto. There is another tool that we can use, another brush, which is called Hurricane. Again, if I hold down the Alt and Command or Control key, I can resize the brush. This is slightly different effect, but again, feel free to use it if you see fit. What we can do here is just add some twirly effects of the clouds. Now I might not use this too strongly, as I think I prefer the distorto effect, but what I might do is add that to the bottom area of the clouds there and here as well. Again, if you make any mistakes or you don't feel comfortable, just go back using the Command Z. I'm just going to add some slight movement down here. Okay, let's go back to the distorto brush and just pull out any areas that might be too curved. I'm just going back and forth. Manipulating the clouds as I see fit. So, once we've got something that we're comfortable with, we can proceed to save the image. So that's actually looking good. That's actually looking good. So, we've got some movement with the clouds in the foreground. What I'd like to do in the next lesson is I'd like to add a sense of movement and manipulation to the skin of the basketball player using similar tools.